It is August 31st, 2021. Oh my God, it's September already. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast, 8 months down in 2021, talking about NXT tonight. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Alfred Konuwa and Issa NYC Demon Diva. It was a taped NXT, but it wasn't spoiled ahead of time. So congrats.
I didn't see any.
Yeah, you're right. I actually kind of avoided, but maybe that means that not a lot of people are talking about NXT.
Yeah. Had I seen the spoilers, I would have refused to watch this episode out of disgust for what I was about to see.
And weird to see the promos for the new NXT during this, kind of telling you like this is the end. This is like the off season. So I don't know, Alfred, what do you think? Triple H runs out through the crowd like Leno, like slapping high fives?
It depends on where they go with this direction. It looks like it's going to be just kind of like almost like a Raw light, or it's going to be more sports entertainment driven. Although some of the booking decisions tonight were very weird if you're going to build a new NXT, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But I think I'm very intrigued to see what this new NXT is like, because they definitely need a change, a fresh coat of paint, to borrow, not to pardon the pun, but I think that's exactly what they need. And I'm very intrigued. I'll be intrigued to see the first couple of weeks of this, but we'll see what this looks like.
I was going to say, fresh coat of paint. They're going to put a lot of paint and colors everywhere, apparently.
It looks like the credits to In Living Color, season 1.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah. The music's not bad, too. I mean, the Living Color music is iconic, but Wildlife puts it down.
True.
With that, I think it's Sample's still tipping on that.
Yeah.
Just the off balance of the logo is what I can't get over. Like it looks aesthetically wrong, and it just gnaws at me. But before we hop into NXT tonight, what do we got in the news?
Well, we've got two kind of related stories, both to Raw. The WWE RAW latest episode, it was down 7.7%. It did about 1.907 million viewers for the USA Network. It peaked at about 1.955 in the first hour. It didn't really go down, so it was one of those shows that didn't really have a balance, just kind of leveled out throughout, but still just under 2 million. And the related story that I want to get your guys' take on is Vince McMahon was reportedly angry and loud this past Monday on Raw yesterday. Furious. He was described as being very upset. One of the longest days in a long time for the WWE creative team. This according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider. He ripped up the script several times during the day. According to this report, which is my favorite visual ever. Several times during the day. So Vince McMahon was apparently upset. There were a lot of matches advertised that did not happen on Raw, including an appearance by The Miz, which I think might have been a scheduling conflict. But basically what was advertised earlier in the day did not take place. What we saw on Raw was completely different, namely with the triple threat match and a lot of that stuff that we saw tonight. So what are you guys' thoughts on Vince McMahon reportedly kind of ripping up the script beforehand?
I've been saying for ages that Vince McMahon needs to be louder, angrier, and have access to a time machine. So, hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But no, I think I kind of like the Vince meltdown stories. I mean, it shows that he cares. It's misdirected, and it often results in a worse product than had it just sort of gone on as planned. But, I mean, he's invested, right? Like, that counts for something. But that being said, this is why we can't have long-term storytelling. You can't imagine if week to week they go to shoot a new episode of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul and Vince Gilligan's like, I'm bored. Let's do this instead. Or, hey, everybody, wait around. I'm going to come up with some better ideas. I know we've been planning on this entire season, but what if Walt starts selling Girl Scout cookies as a front to distribute meth? I'm just putting it out there. I think that, you got to have plans, man. You got to see it through. I know the draft's coming up soon, so maybe this isn't as essential. But, I mean, look, I'm not watching Raw. Most people aren't watching Raw. The numbers keep going down. They fluctuate. They were up. Now they're down again. I mean, it's just going to keep going lower, right?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, football is coming back, and you know how they are with Monday Night Football. The opening segment on Raw felt like everybody was coming out and giving the script 2 seconds before they walked out. It really felt that way. When I was doing my pre-show for Monday Night Raw, and this is not even a half hour before Raw goes on the air, WWE.com, because I usually try to get my matches from there, was still advertising Sheamus versus Bobby Lashley, which never took place. But that being said, I don't I don't think it was that great of an episode of Raw, but the rewriting led us to that triple threat match and Damian Priest pinning Drew McIntyre clean, no distraction. I love that match about last night's episode of Raw, and if people didn't see it, go back and watch it. I thought that match was excellent. So, I mean, maybe the rewrite gave us that. I was happy with that match, and I mean, come on, Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair? That was some tea on that match.
The clip of that with them, I would love to see a shoot fight between the two of them.
Would you know? That made you want to see it more?
I mean, because it was interesting, right? Like, it was interesting.
You couldn't take your eyes off of it.
It was a train wreck. That seemed, oh my goodness. I went back and watched it a couple times. I will say that. I went back and watched it actually several times, and you could just kind of see and zero in on the moment where it just kind of goes wrong, and they start like slapping each other around.
And Nia apologizing. You could tell she's apologizing.
Yeah. And if you saw the look on Charlotte's, I've watched this like Zapruder film. If you saw the look on Charlotte's face at the end of the match where they count the 3, she is furious, and she's saying something under her breath, like to the extent of, "Oh, that was the worst match of my career," or something. I don't know.
Wow. I don't know. I decided last night to watch the TV version that they've put on the Criterion Blu-ray. They have the TV cut of Fast Times at Ridgemont High with extra scenes and some of the worst like subbing out of profanity I've ever heard. I think I chose wisely in how to spend my night. That Jeff Spicoli dream sequence in Fast Times, that was a late minute edition. Sean Penn was reading that off cue cards. So magic can happen at the last minute.
My problem is, and you hit the nail on the head, Glenn, in terms of, ripping it up on the fly is just going to undercut any type of stories that they can tell that can get you invested in a storyline or a person. And this comes across like, I didn't need a report like this to know that this is what goes on in terms of planning long term, is that knowing things can change week to week, and there's no storyline arc of a product that's, doesn't have an off season. So it's going to be 52 weeks of just stories going left, right. It's very exhausting, and it's a very difficult way to cohesively and like creatively build somebody up and build some programs up. But again, WWE is a brand more than looking at their superstars. So I think the wrestlers suffer in these situations.
Well, and you're not going to keep your best writing talent, because would you go to a job every day where your boss is just like, forget what you've been working on. Like, we need to redo all this right now. Maybe that if that happened once a year, you'd be cool with it, but you're not going to hang with that if that's a regular occurrence. And with Vince, this is a regular occurrence. And the more he gets into his twilight years, I feel like the even more regular it's going to become.
Yeah.
Before we go into NXT, how do you guys think they handle this Damian Priest run? It's very interesting. Do you think he makes it to the level of Drew McIntyre and sustains and gets a world title, or do they screw this up?
I hope they don't screw it up. I mean, he's getting an excellent reaction right now. They're slowly bringing him back, because for a little while he wasn't even seen on TV. We had that zombie mess. I think Damian Priest is somebody that comes off as cool without even trying to look cool. That's somebody that people could get behind. I liked it. I think getting that clean pin and getting the respect from Drew McIntyre really, really put me in a very invested position. But listen, you and I, Alfred, has had this conversation about how I feel they booked, Hispanics in the world of professional wrestling. So I never really hold my breath. But I do think that Damian Priest has the full package. You just have to go through with it. And he looked great in the ring last night.
Yeah, it was incredible. Go back and watch that match if you haven't, Glenn.
Good.
Unbelievable match.
I like Damian Priest, so there you go.
Yeah.
As soon as they announced it, too, I was like, yo, let me grab a drink, because this match is going to be lit. And they delivered. I was like, why is this on a Raw? That's the one thing that I was like, why is this on a Raw? You could have put that on freaking SummerSlam instead of having Drew McIntyre against Jinder Mahal on a match that no one cared about, that didn't need to be on the card. So, but it was a great match.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's all for the news?
That's all for the news.
Well, tonight, so much happening tonight. So much happening that was not spoiled. We opened with Mandy Rose versus Sarray. Mandy got popped in the nose, it looked like, covered with a towel. Referee called the match via countout. I thought this was one of the best, if not the best, match Mandy Rose has ever wrestled up until this point. Normally, they don't give her time to have these types of matches.
Yeah. This is exact scenario we talked about a month ago in terms of like, don't sleep on Mandy Rose having a match with Sarray and it being really good, because we've discussed how great she was. I think it was at Hell in a Cell during the pre-show match
with Natty.
Natalia just tore it down. And I think people say that she's pretty and blonde and didn't come through the indies. They want to assume that she can't work. Like, Mandy Rose can go. And this was a very, very good match. I thought this was an incredible match, actually.
She looked great. I wish there was a little bit more of an explanation in regards to why Mandy Rose is here. They just kind of brought her over, and we all know it might have been an exchange for Aaliyah. Whatever happened, we know. But if you're watching as a casual viewer, you don't know how she went from Raw to here with no explanation whatsoever. So I didn't really like that we didn't get an explanation, but we were having that conversation. I think Mandy Rose has improved tons, and putting her with the women in NXT is probably the right choice for somebody that has the looks and can go. She looked great tonight in Saraya, but she's pretty protected too. So it was a fun match to open the show, and I thought Mandy Rose looked great.
Well, you said to your point first, I'm pretty sure she's not here to make friends. And she wants to make a statement and send a message, and that message is that the women's roster is on notice.
Oh, but that's all I needed. See? Thank you.
Also, we were robbed that why Bayley, when she was a babyface, why did she not have a catchphrase or a shirt that said, "I am here to make friends"?
Oh, that'd be great.
That would have actually been good.
She could still do it, but yeah, it would have been more timely when she was the hugger Bayley who had all the friends. Yeah. Maybe that Bayley comes back.
Yes, I am here to make friends.
No, heel Bayley forever. Sorry.
The Ding Dong Bayley is very entertaining.
She's great. Mm-hmm. But this was good with Mandy. I like this. I thought this match was great. So was she legitimately hurt?
No. This seems like one of those Cody Rhodes storylines where they put the bag over his head, where she got kicked in the face and now her pretty face is shattered. And so I thought it was a very clever finish because I thought they were just going to beat Saraya, which I thought would have been a mistake because they've already done that. And I see a lot of potential in her. But they did not, and they kind of managed to tell a story out of this. So I'm kind of interested to see where this goes.
And the kick looked brutal. I don't know how she does it without literally ripping somebody's head off their freaking neck. It's so good. It looks so good from every angle every time they show it. So it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, and that's why it's tough. I mean, it looked very real. It looked very, very real.
I mean, it has tagged a couple people before, but usually it's very convincing. It's a great looking drop kick.
Yeah, so Saraya won via count out, but good. This goes on. This continues. Tommaso Ciampa was backstage with an empty chair. Not since Clint Eastwood have we seen such a meaningful promo with an empty chair. Setting this up with Rich Holland tonight. It was, talk about catering to your hardcore fan base. This main event tonight was like peak AEW fan who watches NXT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a very confusing result. I liked the match. And, there was a couple matches on this show where it's like, why are they putting this guy over if you're going to go into a new NXT? But
right.
Brett Murphy, $5 saying, Issa, have you celebrated Roman Reigns' 1-year title reign, or is that later tonight?
Oh, we've been celebrating it since it started. And we're going to keep celebrating for another year.
This is the family show, guys. Let's just...
Duke Hudson sounds like a fake name, which is funny to say about wrestling. But Duke Hudson sounds like an alias you're giving someone, and you didn't try that hard. I mean, next to looking around for objects to just randomly blurt out and saying you're Maxwell Hauser, Duke Hudson is up there.
Yeah, I can see that.
Very old sound. Apparently, it's in tribute to Duke, which is Wayne?
G.I. Joe.
No, who's a JR?
Oh, John Wayne.
John Wayne, yeah, John Wayne, and then Hudson is Rock Hudson. So it's apparently supposed to be a combination of those very old Hollywood names.
The NXT demo is in their 50s, right? So there you go.
Catering to your audience.
Wow, really? That's really
that's what the streets say.
I mean, even in the 1980s, people would have been like, "That's pretty corny." If Duke Hudson was on old WCW on the Superstation, Duke Hudson. Oh, it's John Wayne and Rock Hudson. People were like, "How old? How old is this person?"
Right.
Kyle O'Reilly won this match. I mean, they're really building up. They're really keeping Kyle looking dominant. I don't think he is going anywhere.
What?
Well, I think we're gonna have, honestly. I think Samoa Joe is gonna beat a lot of guys in quick succession. I could see them doing a lot of championship matches to keep the main events feeling vital. I don't think Samoa Joe's reign's going to be long-lived. I don't know who's going to take the title off of him, but I feel like...
Nobody. They have nobody for these titles.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But Kyle O'Reilly comes out, and I just want to punch him.
There you go.
There's just something about his face that I just want to punch him.
But that's the thing, Kyle O'Reilly, Tommaso Ciampa, like they've got a lot of guys that are going to look great losing to Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they could have built around all those guys tonight, and I do see Samoa Joe having a bit of a longer title reign than you think, Glenn. I think he's going to be pretty dominant, and when he loses it, hopefully one of these new guys are able to build, and the new NXT can beat him, and actually it could mean something.
Yeah, maybe Walter, Brett Murphy's saying.
I would have no problem with that. I think there's value in Samoa Joe being the world champion and having a long run, because if you're really looking to build a guy, that's how you do it, is you have him beat Samoa Joe, the 3-time NXT champion.
And what's interesting, so Kyle won that match, but what's interesting is Dragunov's promo. Dragunov basically saying he's going back to the UK. So yeah, I think that leaves Walter. If Walter wants to keep working in the States, I thought that was very interesting to have Dragunov kind of like bring this run to an end, at least on. And speaking of which, we haven't heard about this. What does this NXT rebrand mean for NXT UK?
Very interesting,
right? Because they've got the classic NXT branding. They're not going to repack. I mean, that really looks out of place.
And they've been, I don't know. You're right. I'm curious about that. I don't think they're going to touch NXT UK, though. I think that stays the same.
Yeah. So what do you think of Dragunov's promo?
I personally liked it. I love the way that he was still selling that beatdown, because he should be. That match was so brutal that it makes no sense for him to come out and be all celebratory about it. He got his ass kicked last week, so sell it. Yeah. I appreciated that. I just like, there's just something about him after making Walter tap that just makes it a badass in my book, no matter what he does next. Like he's up there in my book right now. I thought the promo was great. I really liked the crowd reaction, because I thought 2 weeks ago when he first came out, people were like, okay, so this guy's here. But now, like after what he did last week, everybody's in the Dragunov, train, and that's fine. I'll jump in the bandwagon too. I was very impressed.
Yeah, he's a very, very good performer. Like I really like how he not only sold, like you said, but his performance in terms of his promo, like he really pours his emotion into it. And it wasn't anything special that he said. And I was expecting more, like maybe a next challenger or something like that. But it was a very good promo. I really did like what he had to say in terms of a babyface kind of celebrating without seeming like he's bragging too much. It really seemed like a soldier or a warrior or something like that. So he's really good at capturing that.
So Kaylee Ray backstage talking about her plans. Issa, what'd you think of this promo?
I mean, I like the promo. I really didn't. I didn't get exactly why she's here out of it. You know what I mean? I think she did like a lot of talking, but ultimately I was like, okay, so why are you here? But I also feel like, I don't know if it's the rebranding or what it is that they're doing. And Alfred mentioned this earlier, but there was a lot of like people that you thought were going in one direction felt like they were going in a complete different direction tonight. I really thought that she was going to go after Raquel, but then we had Ember Moon kind of call her out, and maybe they're going to do a little bit of a side field so people, get to know her if you're not familiar with her. But then why have her come out after the Raquel Gonzalez match? So I guess I'm confused between what they're putting on the screen, but what they told me like a week or two ago, and this whole stay tuned to see what they're going to do with NXT is going to put the next show or two in a very weird position for us, because we still know that this is not the end game for them.
Well, I think that's the point. I think this is like the bridge storylines that we're going to have, right?
Right.
Yeah,
into the rebranding.
A bit more long-term, and I do like that. Yeah, it would have made more sense if maybe she went right after Raquel, but at the same time, I guess she's kind of starting as like a threat, as like a warning shot toward Raquel. And so she has to work her way through a couple of opponents. And that'll only help her if she's able to beat people like Ember Moon and kind of acclimate herself to the audiences before she gets to Raquel. Or Franky Monet, let's not count that out.
Yeah,
but the problem is that what opponents is she going to work her way through? You have this amazing women's division in NXT, and you have built nobody up. Tell me who could come out right now that you go like, oh yeah, that's going to be who dethrones Raquel. No one.
With Franky up until they derailed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it looks like they're rebuilding Franky, but we'll see how serious they take her in terms of a contender for Raquel.
She's gonna have a drip stick 3 weeks from now.
We got to segue for a second. Did you guys watch NWA Empower over the weekend?
Yes,
I did. I saw quite a bit. I've seen most of it actually.
It was so much fun.
So good.
Yeah,
such a fun
I saw
pay-per-view
the beforehand too. It's really, really great show. Great crowd too.
And my wife marked out that Tootie Lynn Ramsey, and her real name is Kim Fields. Like, holy shit. Holy shit. It only would have been better if she would have come out on roller skates. She came out with nunchucks, which is like probably the second. I don't remember episode of Facts of Life with nunchucks. Probably the timelines didn't overlap, but she was awesome. So much talent there. That was probably the most fun pay-per-view I've watched in a while.
Very fun.
It was so good, so well put together. So was NWA 73 the next night. I thought that was fun to watch as well. I'm telling you, I was talking about it recently where I'm like, I think we need to stop focusing on what we don't like about wrestling and find what you do like, because there's good wrestling everywhere. You just gotta like look for it.
And we've been saying this, I'm telling you, I tweeted this, but Mickie James should talk to the powers that be and do an AEW NWA Impact all women like weekly show, talk about what's going on in the divisions. I mean, you know, WWE is not going to get around to doing it. There's more than enough talent out there. You know, it's a shame women of wrestling didn't take off, or I think it could probably do the pandemic. It really never got running, but I don't know. I'd be very curious to see what the buy rate was for Empower.
Yeah, I'm very curious too, and it's also good. Like, hopefully, this just becomes more of a normal thing. And I like the idea you have, Glenn, but that'd be a good pay-per-view. That'd be something that I think people would want to put on Fight TV, and you could do a good number with a lot of the women who've made their names in AEW and around the other promotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I think there's enough talent out there to showcase, and I don't know. I mean, I just saw so much potential the other night. It was good, and in NXT, it's unfortunate when lately I just don't feel like they have a plan for the women as much. You know?
It would be awesome if we saw the Forbidden Door thing happen just as much with the women's division, especially for AEW, because I do think that AEW is suffering from probably a similar problem to NXT right now, that I'm just like, okay, I think Statlander and Britt Baker are going to put a great match at All Out this weekend, but I don't see anybody that could. Maybe Thunder Rosa, and I'm sure they're saving that for another pay-per-view. Yeah. Therefore, you don't have any bridge feuds for Britt Baker right now, and I feel like if you open that Forbidden Door, then we could get a couple of one-off matches here or there to just keep that going and keep her strong.
Well, I think, so while we're on the subject of women's wrestling in AEW, you think Ruby Soho debuts Sunday at All Out?
Yes, she better be the Joker.
She better be the Joker. I'd be shocked if she didn't.
Yeah, but she would be, the problem is with her going against Britt is I think she's going to lose. I think she really needs to win her first couple feuds to really build her.
Yeah, and as we were talking about, it doesn't have to immediately be against Britt. It could take a couple of times where she has a couple of matches and is able to get to Britt that way. But eventually, I do see her losing to Britt.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Carmelo Hayes had a confrontation with Santos Escobar.
Yeah, where has this Santos Escobar been for a little while now, right? He was looking like a star again. He showed up, maybe adding a female to that faction, like kind of like revitalized it, because I really, really liked the way that they came off tonight.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah. Imperium versus Drake Maverick and Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller looks like the love child of Paul Walker and Vanilla Ice.
Well, that's good.
We put it that way.
And that's all I could think of when I was watching him. I was just like, he really looks like he just laid the photos over each other. Like, that's his look in a nutshell.
I'm never going to be able to unsee it now, Glenn. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
look at the jacket.
Do you not think that Drake Maverick, like, would you want to be partner up with him? Because he seems to have bad luck with the people that he gets as partner.
I think this is going to be his gimmick. I think every week he's going to have a different bloke who he brings in and they lose. And then hopefully it builds up to some. This is a good way to introduce new faces, even in like 205 Live, who may not get the TV time every single week. Yeah. And then hopefully this pays off to where he gets a viable tag partner and it's somebody that they really want to push.
How is 205 Live still a thing? How,
going head-to-head with AEW Rampage, the Friday Night Wars. Not enough people talk about the Friday Night Wars between AEW Rampage and 205 Live. Where is the story?
Can you, please, Alfred, don't make it a thing or we'll have to cover 205 Live too.
No, I was going to say, Alfred, stop doing the Friday podcast. You need your Friday gimmick to be recapping the Friday Night Wars between AEW Rampage and 205 Live.
Viewers, ladies and gentlemen, wow, it's a record for the Friday Night Wars.
No.
And everything
Raj is gonna put in the group chat. You guys ready to cover 205 Live too? And no, I will blame you, Alfred.
I mean, AEW Dark Elevation, whatever, gets more views than 205 Live.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that. I'm surprised it's still. I didn't even know it moved to Friday, to be honest.
Really? It's been on Friday for like years.
I didn't even know it was still a thing.
I mean, that's really incredible, right? That NXT needs this major repackage. Now I get it because it's on USA, but 205 Live still a thing. They could do so much more.
205 Live used to be where it was at back in the day, okay? But I think bringing that cruiserweight title to NXT hurt 205 Live, because why would you watch 205 Live when you can see the champion on NXT and you get to watch NXT?
Yeah. And it's really weird thinking back in hindsight how they made it such a part of Monday Night Raw for a long time.
Well, that was the
hottest. Oh my God, the tape.
It's gonna sound ridiculous. It's gonna sound ridiculous, but Enzo getting fired and that whole thing is really what killed that cruiserweight division, because WWE's never gone back to it in any sort of meaningful way. And once upon a time, as you could laugh at the storylines that they did, but Enzo and the cruiserweight title was main eventing Raw, and they went on tour with it, and they, kind of drew modestly, but they still actually had stuff invested in that division.
He's got to. I
remember popping for Austin Aries when he got up from the commentary table to go face. What was it? Neville. It was Neville at the time, right? And then they started that rivalry, and oh my God, that is, and that's where Buddy Murphy, he was having some bigger matches on 205 Live, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say by the end of 2022, I'm going to say in the next 12 months, I could see Enzo coming back to WWE.
Nah.
12 months? You never say never, but I don't know about 12. We'll see.
If he hadn't pulled that shit at Survivor Series, he'd be back already.
Yeah. And
you don't think he ends with Cass? You don't think he ends up with Cass again? Which Cass is looking amazing. I think he's in the best shape of his career. I've been watching him on Impact, and I'm like, holy crap! And could he look any more New York? He wrestles in freaking jeans and Timbs.
But that's what I'm saying. If he was going to be back with Cass, he'd be back with Cass already, because Impact could desperately use the eyeballs.
They are back together. They go on the Indies and they do stuff together. So yeah.
Can we have an Eddie Kingston versus Cass as who really runs New York?
Yeah, and you could put Tim on wires and
yes.
on the phone wires and do that. That'd be amazing.
Yes, and that's the price. It's a ladder match. They gotta climb up and grab the Tims. If they had that silly brass rail match, why can't we have the Tims match? Come on.
Oh my God, I would love that.
It'd be like Def Jam fight for New York.
Arthur Ashe is begging for that match to happen. Come on, you're coming to New York soon. Let's make it happen.
That's amazing.
Oh man. Jackson Callens didn't watch NXT, just saying hi, peace, with a $1.99 super chat. Thanks, Jackson. Appreciate it. So some of the chat wants to know. We'll talk about this. Dylan 13's asking, do we think that Ember Moon's being buried, or they're trying to get her out of the company? I mean, she's going to lose that match they set up tonight. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about it.
I mean, buried's a strong word. I think she's at a point where they see that she's valuable because she was on the main roster for so long. So she's more of a household name to these people in NXT, especially because of what she did in NXT. So they're looking at her more like an elder statesman who can put over the younger people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but now's not the time, right? Do you think there's any talent complaining about their booking right now?
I mean, not to the office.
Keep your job. I was gonna say, if you want to keep your job, I would just take what they give you for now.
I'm not even seeing passive aggressive tweets from people. You remember how wrestlers used to I
don't think they run their own Twitter anymore.
No, but remember how wrestlers used to retweet people that's oh, Raw would be so much better if so-and-so was on tonight. You used to see those passive aggressive retweets. I'm not even seeing that anymore.
Not as much, yeah. A lot of the people who are doing them are out of the company now.
Yeah, that's why nobody's doing it. So Imperium beat Drake Maverick and Grayson Waller.
Of course they did.
Shocking.
Yeah, right. Who could have seen that coming?
I always thing with Drake. You should bring different people to a side every week and lose.
I like that idea.
Miss him with Danny Kane. So Indy Hartwell backstage with Johnny Gargano, asking if Dexter Lumis a chance. Of Gargano's reaction tells him to stop doing that and act normal. Very shades of Charles Grodin and Clifford yelling at Dexter Lumis. And then we had Pete Dunne, Rich Hodge, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch hyping up tonight's main event. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane are shown walking out of Saray's locker room after getting payback for what happened earlier to Mandy Rose with Saray laid on the floor. That was cool. I really hope they're going somewhere with Gigi and JC and even Mandy. I think this could be good. But then we had Johnny Gargano versus LA Knight with Index at ringside. And LA Knight getting the win. Alfred, what did you think of this match?
I mean, the match was fine. It was really funny how they kept doing the cutaways to Dexter Lumis and Indy to Index. And I thought it was very funny at the beginning where, Johnny Gargano always talks about how he doesn't even need to look at Austin Aries to do that 5. And then, he immediately starts looking over at Dexter Lumis and, runs away. That was all fine and good. But I was very surprised to see LA Knight win, which I get it if they're going to build him up for Samoa Joe. But this is a solid match. I was paying more attention to what was happening around it, though.
Yeah, it was distracting, especially with Index at ringside. But I like seeing LA Knight get the win here because I don't know, I guess you don't want to see Johnny challenging for the title again just yet, where LA Knight is just fresh there. And he needed the win because he just lost to Cameron Grimes. So it's good to see him kind of bump on the road, but let's keep going with him. I'm still shocked that they haven't taken him to the main roster yet. I don't know, LA Knight just screams main roster to me for some reason.
Yeah. Index storyline, though. Good.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the wedding.
When he got Johnny Gargano tonight, I popped. And Johnny Gargano's reactions is so good. I sometimes I want to hate him being on the way and what he's doing now, but he does things like this and I'm like, okay, I'm with it again. I like it.
He's very good in these segments.
Yeah.
So, we had MSK backstage with William Regal. They want to give a title shot to Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. So we'll see what happens with that.
That was
first of all, Burch and Lorcan.
Faces.
Yeah, very good babyface reasoning. I really like how they presented them. Especially they say that they never really beat them. So it's very honorable. And I really like that.
So, yeah, I was like, why are you in there asking to defend your titles when nobody's making you? And then they say, we never really beat them for a title. I'm like, okay, fine. That's honorable. Go for it.
Yeah, very, very much. Huge babyface action.
Yeah. And then we had Jessie Camilla lose to Raquel Gonzalez. So Franky Monet can't even secondhand get a win. Jessie out there with Franky Monet and Robert Stone. Why?
She can't even get an entrance. She has one of the coolest songs. And she got the jobber entrance.
Why?
Well, she was just on the outside supporting. It's not like if this was matches about her, I'm sure she would have gotten more of an entrance.
I mean, the Robert Stone brand, not the best track record.
You don't say.
But so this is where this is where I don't believe they're pushing Franky Monet, because why would you pair her with the guy that's the comedy loser to give her a rub?
To counter, I'd say this is why they are pushing her, because I think they're going to kick him out of the Robert Stone brand. It's going to become hers. They've trademarked House of Monet, I believe, which sounds like it'll be her stable. So maybe they are going to do something in terms of creating action around her. And I'm telling you, I don't think it's guaranteed that Raquel Gonzalez retains against Franky Monet. This might peak to where they see that they're going in a different direction with NXT and they put the belt on Franky.
Robert Stone gets fired. It's gonna be like when they fired George Zimmer from the Men's Warehouse. You can't get fired from your own thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. He didn't have the equity that he needed, and so now they're going to have a vote.
Wow.
I mean.
Yeah. So connecting people through wrestling, $1.99, saying, just want to show my appreciation. Cheers to all.
Very nice.
Thank you. This wasn't. We were talking about this off the air. None of these episodes feel necessarily essential. This was fine tonight. This was entertaining. Not the best thing I watched this week, but certainly it probably won't be the worst.
But it wasn't. There was nothing in the show that I would say, oh, if you didn't watch NXT, you missed this. You could go without watching this week, and you didn't get lost in any storyline or anything.
Yeah, I thought this was a very damaging show for what NXT is trying to do in terms of, you saw, Duke Hudson and Rich Holland losing, which are two guys who you feel like would be right for the main roster. Two guys who I think have the charisma and the size to kind of come off as big stars in NXT, and two guys who are now being set up to beat two veterans and be the next thing in NXT. and right before your big reboot, you just beat them. So how are you going to establish new people in NXT if that is the goal moving forward?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man. So what else? Oh, Stellar Justin Lopez, $4.99. She should have been kicked his ass out. The more she's around him, it drags her down.
Yeah,
it kind of does. As long as he's there. So hopefully they have a big split plan, because it does always come off like comedy whenever Robert Stone's involved.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Franky Monet ever since she came on board. I think she's awesome, has the looks, has the moves, but I just don't understand the storyline for her right now. And I mean, I have lost all my faith in let it play out.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for me to say, okay, we'll see where it goes when, we just been disappointed so many times.
Yes. Has anyone made that an acronym yet? LiPo?
Play out. Well, there's a trademarking opportunity. We're talking about trademarking, right? That could be a trademark.
There you go, Glenn. Go for it now.
LiPo. It's not really. It's got sort of a YOLO ring to it, but not quite as catchy.
It does. LiPo.
Ember Moon replying to Kaylee Ray, so they're gonna have a match next week. Pretty sure Ember's losing that match.
Still gonna be good. And it's good to know that she's okay, because she was injured, like a week ago? They said she couldn't wrestle. So I guess it wasn't nothing too serious.
Samoa Joe's interview tonight.
Samoa Joe is so good at putting sentences together.
It was a good promo too. Really kind of setting up.
Yeah, so
this is
good.
One of the reasons I think it's going to take a while, because
oh my God,
this is really cool.
I love the way that he talked about. I love the fact that he brought into it that he was at the tryouts, that he was there picking the next talent for NXT, flew back, no sleep, wrestled, won the title, because that's what a champion should do. And I'm not dragging any of the other NXT champions, but it feels so legitimate. Like the way that he cuts his promos, there's just something about the way Samoa Joe speaks that always captivates me and also scares me. So, listen, he's just very good at that whole talking thing.
Definitely.
Steve Mercachili asking an important question, $4.99, saying, is Tessa Blanchard a better fit for NXT or AEW? Because Tessa didn't show up at Empower, I am thinking the world does not think it's a good idea to book Tessa right now.
Yeah, there is some radioactivity around her, and I believe she'd be a better fit in AEW, especially given that her father is there as well. And, no, but listen, all that stuff is controversial. It's hearsay. I think Tessa Blanchard is a phenomenal wrestler, and I really would like to see her get a shot in terms of as a professional wrestler with a division. And I really do think she would carve a better path in AEW.
Yeah, agree. I think AEW is better for her, and I think she's so talented. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I do think that maybe a debut at Empower, or her showing up at Empower, just would not be the best move right now. But overall, I think AEW.
Yeah. What has she been doing lately? I feel like I've been
training a lot. Yeah, that's for sure. She's been.
She posted a picture with the Ted DiBiase dollars, so people were thinking she was coming to NXT. That was a whole thing this weekend. So I don't know, but I know she's been training.
Yeah. Roderick Strong versus Ika Minjiro. That's a solid name,
baby.
Ika Minjiro is a solid freaking name.
Yeah, he's a solid freaking wrestler. He should be on the main roster in the 24 division. I only say that because I know that he would create more opportunities for himself. And just this guy's wildly charismatic. And I love the promo he cut before this match where he goes I want Kushida to beat you, but I want to beat you too. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Roderick Strong looked great, but Diamond Mine is such a bust. I feel bad for that faction, man.
Diamond Mine should merge with the Robert Stone brand. I think they could really come up with some efficiencies for their mid-card status.
Diamond Stone.
Well, there you go. Book it.
Diamond Stone brand. There we go.
It's real. The podcast is all downhill from here, folks. It's not going to get better.
Diamond Stone.
Wow. Roderick Strong won that match. Io Shirai, Zoe Stark, Casey Catanzaro, and Kaden Carter title match next week. This was all right.
Yeah, it was good to see the tag titles. Again, I was like, what, did those titles not exist anymore? I love Io Shirai. She doesn't have to say much, but it's effective. She was like, I don't like you, I don't like you, and I don't like you, and that's it. That's what she needs to say.
Yeah, that was the best part of the whole segment.
Yeah.
And then Cameron Grimes having a face-off with the Grizzled Young Veterans, who taunts him with a replica of the $1 Million title. And we got toe humor. We got hurt toe humor, dropping something on Zach Gibson's toe. I wish Cameron Grimes was. He's got to have some momentum, right? Or I still think he's leaving. I still think maybe.
Oh, no, not anytime soon. Not if they're doing that thing with Baron Corbin and Cameron Grimes styles that gimmick. I mean, unless you want to bring him up as a tag team or whatnot, you can't have. Even on different brands, it would be weird. They're not even letting Elias have his guitar on Raw because they give it to Rick Boogs, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Baron Corbin is actually rich, where Cameron Grimes, I question his investments still. So.
Yeah, we need an audit.
And Baron Corbin is gonna blow through that money in a week. He's gonna be broke again soon.
And then the main event, Ridge Holland. Also, that sounds like a made up name. Ridge Holland versus Tommaso Ciampa.
But Tommaso Ciampa is a good name.
Tommaso Ciampa is a good name because if you said to somebody at a bar, someone's like, "So what's your name?" You say Tommaso Ciampa, they'd be like, "There's no way you made that up."
Yeah,
that is too real. But Ridge Holland is like Blade Rogers. Like it's a little too cool. Like Ridge Holland is like what like a 15-year-old boy thinks is like a really cool name.
All I think about is the Holland Tunnel and traffic.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the main event?
I like seeing Tommaso Ciampa get the win. I know that was kind of shocker, and maybe Alfred didn't like that. You probably wanted Holland to win, but I'm a big Tommaso Ciampa fan. I feel like Tommaso Ciampa is somebody that you can insert him into any storyline as long as you keep him strong, you know? And that's the thing, that every time he gets a win, I feel like you could insert him into whatever field you want to put him at, especially at these uncertain times in NXT. You know, so but overall, I thought the match was solid. I didn't think Ciampa was winning. I'm glad that he won, but I didn't think he was winning.
Yeah, I was actually shocked that he won. And there's nothing against Tommaso Ciampa. I think he's a big star in NXT, and I do enjoy his work and whatnot. This just was a wrong move. This is a wrong move across the show in terms of if they're building toward a new NXT. These are guys who are right now in plum positions. It wouldn't have seemed forced because they've been building toward this with both Duke Hudson and Ridge Holland, and I was just shocked that they beat these two guys. Like, you take John Cena and Batista, let's just beat both these guys, and then we'll rebuild a new WWE at the same time. It's going to just make it harder for people to take seriously a new NXT with new guys if you know, you're going to still establish this older generation.
Yeah. And then they had, after Tommaso won, they had Lorcan, Dunn, MSK, like everybody just in the ring. It was like the entire brawler class, you know, basically of NXT, just duking it out. They went 8 minutes over for this tonight.
Yeah,
pre-tape. How do you still go over on a pre-tape show?
Yeah. Must have
I will say though, I forgot that it was pre-tape because nothing really came out as far as like people leaking spoilers or anything. So at least there was that. It felt very uneventful, but I didn't see any spoilers, so I wasn't watching with that. Oh, why do I gotta watch this when I know everything that's gonna happen? You know,
right?
Do you think, though, there's something to be said for the journey, right? We all watch a lot of TV or movies. We know that the good guys tend to win. Like, we got a pretty good idea how it's going to turn out at the end. But if we get there in a clever, unique, and memorable way, that's a worthwhile investment of our time. With sports entertainment, I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. It's like just to have great matches, but kind of just phoning in the storylines. That's where...
Yeah, that's the worst you can have. I would much rather, much as I love wrestling, especially in WWE, which is like the industry leader, I'd much rather have storylines that are way better than the matches. Nobody ever remembers, as great matches as matches are, like people, what they really remember in wrestling are the moments and like the storylines and what they did to get to the match, you know? And the wrestling is so good these days, you never really have to worry about the match. So they really should work on their storytelling.
And you have to make it memorable. Like, I've probably watched more bank robbery and heist films than any other genre. But let me tell you, like, you remember Hurricane Heist. You know, you remember the ones where it's like, well, it was a heist put in the middle of a hurricane. Like they did something unique. They made it interesting or memorable. Inside Man, it was clever. They made it different. Takers, maybe not the most original, but at one point someone did say, I'm not going back to jail. Not for you, not for him, not for anybody. I was like, well, okay, they're biting off Wayne's World, but still worthwhile. You know, it sticks in your mind.
Right.
It's just mediocre storytelling. You forget about it. They all blend together.
Definitely.
Correct.
Definitely.
So that was NXT.
It was a show. Very detrimental show. It was on to next week.
Yeah,
and it's not.
We'll see what happens.
And I want to address this because I've seen people talking about this. It's like, oh, well, you guys seem bored with the show. It's like, okay, they taped these. They're about to do a massive reboot on the show. Like, this is just, they are literally treading water. They are running in place to get to this relaunch. They are saving their powder and everything big they have for this relaunch, which I think is going to be September 21st, maybe the 14th, but I think the 21st.
I think the 14th, that big wedding show, is supposed to be the relaunch, right?
That's going to be the relaunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just feel that I think NXT does need a relaunch, right? And I'm not talking about a colorful logo. I'm talking about NXT needs to do something because it feels like the boring show out of everything that we watched this week, you know. And maybe, like Glenn said, it's pre-tape, we're building towards this relaunch, but they really do need desperately to change some things around NXT. NXT used to be, and I remember when we first started covering it on Tuesdays, we were excited. Those first couple of shows were amazing, and I just want to go back to feeling that way, and I just didn't feel that they gave us that. And you are in the middle of 2 weeks where people are suffering from wrestling exhaustion. You need to put something more exciting on TV.
Yeah, I mean, right now is like peak wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like they're literally just trying to get by a couple weeks. Bear Hudson, $5 saying, what do you make of Tessa Blanchard's NXT tease? I mean, is it though really the one with the Ted DiBiase money?
Yeah.
I would assume that's the tease. That's what everybody took it as.
Yeah, it's good that people are talking about her. That's what she wants people kind of talking about her and keeping her as like a hot free agent, because wherever she does land, I think it'll lead to a big pop and a big moment and story in wrestling.
I think it's less likely she goes to NXT now, given their change in NXT being developmental and not just indie-rific anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I could see either. I really could, but I'd be leaning toward AEW.
So there you have it, folks. 47 minutes and 30 seconds. We knocked it out. We solved NXT for another Tuesday.
We did it!
How fun was that?
Amazing.
Wait till we start that Friday Night Wars podcast, boy. I'll tell you.
You stop.
But you have to do it and just make it seem like this is the retaliatory blow that 205 Live fired this week in their ongoing war.
But that's when Ike Manjaro came and the remote channel switched.
Stop.
I watched every episode of that Monday Night Wars series, and I swear to God, like half of them, they just reused the same shit about DX and NWO. Like so much recycled footage throughout those episodes.
Yeah, they did. I've seen it a bunch of times. I thought that was actually a really good series.
I felt like I'd seen it a bunch of times just watching it once because of how much they recycled it all.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how many times did they reshow like Alundra Blaze, like dropping the title in the garbage? I mean, they really kept coming back to the same clips again and again and again.
When they were outside with Rey Mysterio getting his head thrown into the lawn, like the lawn dart moment, they showed that a lot.
Yeah. There you go, folks. That was NXT. We will catch you back here on Friday. Alfred is at This Is Nasty on Twitter. He says at NYC Demon Diva. I'm at Glenn Rubenstein. Send us your tweets. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. We'll catch you back here tomorrow. Is Dynamite coverage, but Friday, SmackDown and Rampage. Yeah, Rampage. And Sunday's All Out.
Yay! I'm going to be there.
It's going to be great. Another great weekend of wrestling.
I'm going to be there. It's going to be fun. It's my first AEW event. So
nice. Awesome.
We'll have a good time. Everybody have a good night. We'll catch you back next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.